What if every object in your world, the chair you're sitting on, the phone in your hand, existed first as a pure, invisible thought form, not as an idea, but as a finished, perfect thing in a dimension of pure mind? What if your future wealth, your dream house, your ideal business already exist, fully formed in that same dimension, waiting for you to simply see them? This is the secret of the original substance that Wallace D. Wattles revealed in his masterwork, a secret that transforms the entire game of wealth creation from a struggle of construction into an act of divine perception. The pain you have been carrying is the feeling that your desires are distant, unreal, and need to be constructed from nothing, brick by brick through sheer force of will and endless labor. This false belief makes manifestation feel like an overwhelming construction project, where you must somehow gather invisible materials and assemble them into a reality that does not yet exist. You approach your mental work with the exhaustion of a builder who must first mine the ore, forge the tools, and then begin the actual building. This is why so many abandon their dreams. The perceived distance between desire and reality feels insurmountable, and the path forward seems shrouded in mystery and uncertainty. We are taught to visualize our desires, but we often do it from a state of lack, trying to paint a picture of something we don't have, something that exists nowhere except in our desperate imagination. Wallace D. Wattles taught a more powerful truth. You are not creating the image from scratch. You are simply becoming mentally aware of a form that already exists in the thinking stuff, the formless substance from which all things are made. This is not a semantic difference. It is a complete reversal of the creative process. When you understand that the perfect form of your wealth already exists in the spiritual dimension, waiting only for your clear perception to call it forth, the entire burden of creation lifts from your shoulders. The promise is this: you will learn the law of mental form, the exact technique to perceive and stabilize this pre-existing spiritual blueprint, making its physical appearance not a matter of struggle, but a simple matter of natural growth. Just as the acorn contains within it the invisible but perfectly real form of the oak tree, the formless substance contains the perfect form of your success, your wealth, your ideal life. Your work is not to invent it, but to see it clearly enough that the universe can begin its work of materialization. This is the difference between the exhausted striver and the enlightened perceiver. This concept of the pre-existing mental form is the first cause in the chain of creation, the invisible foundation upon which all physical manifestation rests. Without this clear perception, you are building on sand, and all your efforts in the physical world will scatter and dissolve. With this clear perception, you are building on bedrock, and the universe itself becomes your construction crew, working tirelessly to bring into physical form what you have clearly seen in the mental realm. This is why Wattles insisted that the mental image must come first, and must be held with unwavering clarity and faith. State the pact. In this video, you will learn why the act of forming a clear mental image is not imagination, but perception. You will discover the three-step method to move from vague wanting to clear seeing, creating the definite blueprint the universe is waiting for. You will understand why most people's visualization practices fail, not because visualization doesn't work, but because they are trying to create rather than perceive, trying to invent rather than discover. The shift from creator to perceiver is the shift from poverty consciousness to wealth consciousness, from struggle to flow, from doubt to certainty. But there's a specific mental habit that shatters this clear image into 1,000 useless pieces, effectively telling the universe you're not ready. It's a habit most people think is harmless, even virtuous. They engage in it daily, believing they are being humble or realistic, when in fact they are sabotaging the very blueprint they are trying to establish. I will reveal this image-destroying habit in part 4, and you will immediately recognize it in your own behavior. For now, I ask you to comment below. How clear versus how blurry are your mental images of your goals? Can you see them with the clarity of a photograph, or do they shift and fade like smoke? Your honest answer will tell you exactly how much work you have ahead of you and how close you are to the breakthrough that changes everything. Wallace D. Wattles revealed a principle that stands at the very foundation of all creation, a principle so profound that once grasped, It renders all other methods of wealth building secondary and derivative. He wrote, "There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought." This is not poetry or metaphor. This is the fundamental law of manifestation, the invisible mechanism by which the universe operates. The thinking stuff, the formless substance, is not empty potential waiting for you to impose your will upon it. It is intelligent, responsive, and already contains within itself the perfect form of everything that can ever be. Consider this carefully. Before a physical oak tree exists in your yard, the perfect thought form of that oak tree exists in the thinking stuff, not as a vague possibility, but as a definite, complete, perfect form. The acorn does not contain instructions for building an oak tree. It contains the direct connection to the perfect oak tree form that exists in the formless realm. The acorn is simply the physical anchor point through which that perfect form can express itself in the material world. In the same way, your desire for wealth is not a random wish floating in empty space. It is your mind making contact with the perfect form of your wealth that already exists, complete and whole, in the dimension of pure thought. Your job, therefore, is not to invent the image of your wealth from nothing, as if you were a novelist creating a fictional character. Your job is to use your mind to find and focus on the perfect pre-existing spiritual prototype of your success. This is why Wattles insists on clarity. You are not making something up, you are perceiving something that is already real. The blurrier your perception, the weaker your connection to this pre-existing form. The clearer your perception, the stronger the magnetic pull between the spiritual form and its physical manifestation. You are not a creator in the sense of making something from nothing. You are a perceiver, a discoverer, an explorer of the infinite gallery of perfect forms that exist in the universal mind. This understanding changes everything about how you approach your mental work. When you sit down to visualize, you are not engaged in a creative exercise, painting a picture on the blank canvas of your imagination. You are engaged in an act of spiritual perception, tuning your mental receiver to pick up the signal of a reality that exists on a higher frequency. This is why some people's visualizations feel forced and hollow, while others feel natural and inevitable. The forced visualizations are attempts at creation. The mind is straining to invent something it doesn't believe in. The natural visualizations are acts of perception. The mind is relaxing into awareness of something it recognizes as already real. The thinking stuff is not passive clay waiting for your hands to mold it. It is intelligent, creative, and already pregnant with infinite possibilities, each one existing as a perfect form. When you desire wealth, you are not creating that desire. You are responding to the pull of the wealth form that already exists. Your desire is the universe's way of telling you, this form is available to you, look at it, see it clearly, hold it steady in your mind, and I will bring it into your physical experience. The desire itself is proof that the form exists. You cannot desire something that has no corresponding form in the thinking stuff. Your very wanting is evidence of pre-existing reality on the spiritual plane. This is why Wattles teaches that you must approach your mental work with faith, not hope. Hope says, maybe this will work. Maybe if I visualize hard enough, something will happen. Faith says, the form I am perceiving already exists. Its manifestation is a natural law, as certain as the growth of the acorn into the oak. My only work is to maintain clear perception and remove all contradictory thoughts. Faith is not blind belief. It is recognition of a higher reality. When you see the form clearly in your mind, you know it is real, just as Michelangelo knew that David was real, even while it was still hidden in the marble. The implications of this principle are staggering. It means that every great invention, every masterpiece of art, every successful business, every beautiful home existed first as a perfect form in the thinking stuff. The inventors, artists, and entrepreneurs who brought these things into physical reality were not creating from nothing. They were perceiving forms that were already complete and perfect in the spiritual dimension. Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb by random trial and error. He perceived the perfect form of the light bulb in the thinking stuff, and then his physical experiments were simply the process of finding the material expression that matched the spiritual form he had already seen. This is why genius often appears as sudden inspiration, a flash of insight that arrives complete and whole. The genius is not laboriously constructing an idea piece by piece. The genius is having a moment of clear perception, seeing directly into the thinking stuff and recognizing a perfect form that already exists there. Mozart could hear entire symphonies in an instant because he was not composing them in the conventional sense. He was perceiving them, hearing the music that already existed in the realm of perfect forms. His work was not to create the music, but to write it down quickly before the clarity of his perception faded. You have been taught to believe that wealth must be created through hard work, strategy, and competition. But Wattles reveals that wealth, like everything else, already exists as a perfect form in the thinking stuff. Your work is not to create it, but to perceive it clearly enough that the universe can deliver it to you. This is not laziness or magical thinking. It is alignment with the fundamental creative principle of the universe. The physical work you do in the world is important, but it is secondary. It is the effect, not the cause. The cause is always the clear mental image, the steady perception of the pre-existing form. When you grasp this principle fully, you will never again approach your goals with the heavy burden of believing you must create something from nothing. You will approach them with the lightness of a discoverer, an explorer, a perceiver of realities that already exist. Your mental work becomes a joy rather than a strain, because you are not trying to force something into existence. You are simply opening your awareness to what is already there. The universe is not empty, it is full. It is teeming with perfect forms, waiting only for a clear mind to perceive them and call them forth into physical manifestation. This is the central concept, the foundation upon which all of Wattles' teaching rests. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made. This substance contains the perfect form of everything, including your wealth. Your thought, when it is clear and definite, connects you to the pre-existing form of your desire. The physical manifestation follows naturally, inevitably, as the universe works to bring the spiritual form into material expression. You are not a creator, struggling to build something from nothing. You are a perceiver, tuning your mind to see the riches that already exist in the dimension of pure thought. The question is not whether your wealth exists. It does. The question is whether you can see it clearly enough, hold the vision steadily enough, and maintain your faith long enough for the universe to complete its work. This is the law of mental form, and it is the secret that separates those who manifest their desires from those who spend their lives in frustrated striving. See it first, see it clearly, see it as already real. Then watch as the universe moves heaven and earth to make your perception a physical fact. To understand why this principle is not mere wishful thinking but unshakable logic, consider the analogy of a sculptor and a block of marble. A master sculptor, like Michelangelo, would say he did not create the David. He simply saw the David already existing within the marble and chipped away everything that was not the David. When asked how he created such a masterpiece, Michelangelo replied that the statue was already there. He merely liberated it from the stone. This is not poetic license. This is a profound understanding of the creative process that applies not just to sculpture, but to all manifestation, including the manifestation of wealth. In the same way, the formless substance contains the perfect form of your success. Your mind is the chisel, but first you must have the unwavering vision, the perception of the perfect form already existing within the raw potential. Without seeing it first, your chiseling is just random noise, just frantic activity that produces nothing of value. Imagine Michelangelo approaching the marble with no vision of the David in his mind, simply chipping away at random, hoping that eventually a beautiful statue would emerge. The absurdity is obvious. Yet this is exactly how most people approach the creation of wealth. They take random actions, try different strategies, hustle without direction, hoping that eventually success will emerge from their scattered efforts. The logic is inescapable. If you do not know what you are creating, you cannot create it. If you cannot see the end result clearly in your mind, you cannot possibly take the right actions to bring it about. This is not a mystical principle. It is simple cause and effect. Every builder needs a blueprint. Every architect needs a vision. Every entrepreneur needs a clear picture of what they are building. Without this clear mental image, all effort is wasted, all energy is dissipated, all action is futile. You are swinging the hammer, but you have no idea what you are building, and so you build nothing of lasting value. But here is where Wattles' teaching transcends conventional wisdom about goal setting and planning. He is not merely saying you need to have a clear goal. He is saying that the goal already exists as a perfect form in the thinking stuff, and your mental image is not a creation, but a perception of this pre-existing reality. This distinction is crucial. When you understand that you are perceiving rather than creating, your entire relationship to the mental image changes. You are no longer straining to invent something you don't believe in. You are relaxing into awareness of something you recognize as already real. The difference in feeling is profound, and the difference in results is equally profound. Consider the difference between trying to remember a forgotten name and trying to invent a new word. When you are trying to remember a name, you know it exists. You've heard it before. It's real, it's out there, and your mind is simply searching for it. There is a sense of inevitability. You know that if you relax and let your mind work, the name will come to you. But when you are trying to invent a new word, there is no such certainty. You are making something up, and it feels arbitrary, forced, uncertain. This is the difference between perceiving a pre-existing form and trying to create from nothing. One feels natural and inevitable, the other feels forced and doubtful. The sculptor does not doubt that the statue exists in the marble. He sees it. His faith is not blind belief, it is direct perception. In the same way, when you clearly perceive the form of your wealth in the thinking stuff, you do not need to muster up faith through affirmations or positive thinking. The faith is automatic because you are seeing a reality. You know it exists just as surely as the sculptor knows the statue exists. Your work is simply to maintain this clear perception and chip away everything that is not aligned with this vision, the doubts, the contradictory thoughts, the actions that move you away from the form you have perceived. This is the unshakable logic of Wattles' system. The universe operates by law, not by chance. The law is this: a clear, definite thought form held steadily in the mind must produce its physical equivalent. This is not magic. It is the fundamental creative mechanism of reality. The thinking stuff is responsive. It takes the form of your thought. When your thought is clear and definite, the substance responds by shaping itself into the physical equivalent of your mental image. When your thought is vague and contradictory, the substance receives no clear instruction and produces nothing, or worse, produces the physical equivalent of your confused mental state: chaos, lack, and frustration. The sculptor's chisel is guided by his vision. Every strike of the hammer is purposeful because he can see the final form. In the same way, when you hold the clear perception of your wealth, your actions in the physical world become purposeful and guided. You are not taking random actions hoping for success. You are taking inspired actions that flow naturally from your clear vision. The universe itself begins to guide you, opening doors, creating opportunities, arranging circumstances, because you have given it a clear blueprint to work from. Without the clear blueprint, the universe has nothing to work with. It is like asking a builder to construct a house but refusing to provide any plans or specifications. The logic extends further. If the form already exists in the thinking stuff, then your wealth is not something you must struggle to create. It is something you must allow to manifest. The struggle comes from trying to create from nothing, from trying to force results through willpower alone. The ease comes from understanding that you are simply allowing a natural process to unfold. The acorn does not struggle to become an oak tree. It simply maintains its connection to the perfect oak form in the thinking stuff, and the intelligence of nature handles the rest. You do not need to know how to convert minerals into wood. You do not need to understand the biochemistry of growth. You simply need to plant the acorn, water it, and let nature do its work. In the same way, you do not need to know how the universe will bring your wealth to you. You do not need to figure out every step of the path. You simply need to hold the clear perception of the wealth form, maintain your faith that it already exists, and take the actions that are revealed to you. The universe knows how to bring spiritual forms into physical manifestation. It has been doing it since the beginning of time. Every tree, every mountain, every living creature is proof that the universe knows how to materialize perfect forms. Your wealth is no different. It is simply another form waiting to be perceived and allowed to manifest. This is why Wattles insists that you must not concern yourself with the how. The how is the universe's job. Your job is the what, the clear, definite perception of what you want. When you try to figure out the how before you have clearly seen the what, you're putting the cart before the horse. You are trying to chisel the marble before you have seen the statue. The result is wasted effort, frustration, and eventual abandonment of your goals. But when you first establish the clear perception, the how begins to reveal itself naturally. The right opportunities appear. The right people enter your life. The right ideas come to you. This is not coincidence. It is the universe responding to your clear mental image, working to bring the pre-existing form into your physical experience. The unshakable logic is this: the universe is a mental creation. Thought is the creative power. The thinking stuff responds to thought by taking its form. Therefore, the person who can hold a clear, definite thought form in their mind with unwavering faith has enlisted the entire creative power of the universe in the manifestation of that form. This is not a theory to be debated. This is a law to be applied. The sculptor who sees the statue in the marble will create the statue. The person who sees their wealth in the thinking stuff will manifest that wealth. It is not a matter of if, but when. The timing depends only on the clarity of the vision and the steadiness of the faith. You are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are not dependent on luck or chance. You are a conscious, creative being with the power to perceive perfect forms in the thinking stuff and bring them into physical manifestation. This is your birthright. This is the power that has been used by every great achiever in history. They did not create from nothing. They perceived what already existed, held the vision steady, and allowed the universe to do its work. Now it is your turn. The form of your wealth exists. Can you see it? Can you hold it steady? Can you maintain your faith long enough for the universe to complete its work? This is the only question that matters. Before you can perceive the perfect form of your wealth in the thinking stuff, you must first prepare your mind to receive this perception. This is not a matter of straining or forcing, of gritting your teeth and trying harder to visualize. The required state is one of quiet contemplation, not forceful concentration. You must relax the analytical mind and allow your intuitive, perceptive faculties to come forward. You are tuning into a reality, not inventing one, and tuning requires sensitivity, not force. Think of how you tune a radio. You do not force the dial. You gently adjust it until the signal becomes clear. The same principle applies to perceiving the forms in the thinking stuff. The analytical mind, for all its usefulness in daily life, is a barrier to perception of spiritual realities. The analytical mind wants to question, to doubt, to figure out how something is possible. It wants proof before belief, evidence before faith. But perception of the pre-existing forms requires the opposite approach. You must believe before you see. You must have faith before evidence appears. This is not irrationality. This is recognition that the spiritual realm operates by different laws than the physical realm. In the physical world, seeing is believing. In the spiritual world, believing is seeing. You must first accept that the form exists before your mind can perceive it clearly. To achieve this state of quiet contemplation, you must create space in your mind. This means temporarily setting aside your worries, your doubts, your analytical questions about how your wealth will come to you. It means releasing the need to control or understand the process. It means surrendering to the intelligence of the universe, trusting that the thinking stuff knows how to bring spiritual forms into physical manifestation. This surrender is not weakness, it is strength. It is the strength to stop fighting against the natural creative process and to instead align yourself with it. The river does not need to force the water downstream. It simply provides the channel, and gravity does the rest. The intuitive, perceptive faculties of your mind are always present, but they are usually drowned out by the noise of the analytical mind. When you quiet the analytical mind through contemplation, these deeper faculties emerge. You begin to sense things rather than think them. You begin to know things without knowing how you know them. You begin to perceive realities that exist beyond the reach of the physical senses. This is not mysticism for its own sake. This is practical access to the dimension where all forms exist in their perfect state, waiting to be perceived and manifested. Consider the state of mind you are in when you have your best ideas, your moments of insight and inspiration. You are not usually straining and forcing. You are relaxed, perhaps taking a walk or in the shower or just waking up. Your analytical mind is quiet, and suddenly an idea appears, complete and whole. This is not your mind creating the idea. This is your mind perceiving an idea that already existed in the thinking stuff. The idea was always there. You simply became quiet enough to perceive it. This is the state you must cultivate deliberately when you sit down to perceive the form of your wealth. You are not going to think your way to the vision. You are going to relax your way into it. The practice of quiet contemplation is simple, but requires discipline. You sit in a comfortable position, close your eyes, and begin to release the tension in your body and mind. You are not trying to stop all thoughts. That is impossible and unnecessary. You are simply choosing not to engage with the analytical thoughts that arise. When a doubt appears, you observe it and let it pass. When a question appears, you acknowledge it and let it go. You are creating a still pond in your mind so that when the image of your wealth appears, it can be reflected clearly without distortion. A turbulent mind is like a choppy lake. It cannot reflect anything clearly. A calm mind is like a still lake. It reflects perfectly. This state of receptivity is the opposite of the striving, forcing energy that most people bring to their visualization practice. They sit down with clenched fists and furrowed brows, trying to make the image appear through sheer force of will. This is like trying to force a flower to bloom by pulling on its petals. It doesn't work, and it damages the flower. The image of your wealth will not be forced into existence. It will be gently perceived when your mind is in the right state. This is why Wattles emphasizes faith. Faith is the mental state that allows perception. Doubt is the mental state that blocks perception. You cannot perceive something you do not believe exists. As you sit in quiet contemplation, you begin with the general desire for wealth, for a more abundant and expressive life. You feel this desire, not as a desperate need, but as a natural impulse toward growth and expansion. This desire is your starting point, your signal to the thinking stuff that you are ready to perceive the form of your wealth. You are not demanding or begging. You are simply stating your readiness, your openness, your willingness to receive. The universe responds to this state of receptive readiness. It cannot respond to desperate neediness, because neediness vibrates with the energy of lack, and lack attracts more lack. In this state of quiet contemplation, you are neither passive nor aggressive. You are actively receptive. You are alert but relaxed. You are focused but not tense. This is the state of the master perceiver, the state in which the great mystics and sages have always done their deepest work. It is the state in which you can access the dimension of perfect forms and see your wealth not as a distant dream, but as a present reality waiting to be brought into physical manifestation. This mental preparation is not optional. It is the foundation. Without it, all your visualization efforts will be shallow and ineffective because you will be trying to create rather than perceive, to force rather than allow. The greatest barrier to this state is impatience. You want results now. You want to see the money in your bank account today. This impatience keeps your mind churning, keeps the analytical mind in control, keeps you in a state of striving rather than perceiving. But the universe operates on its own timeline, not yours. The acorn becomes an oak tree, but not overnight. There is a natural gestation period for all manifestation. Your impatience does not speed up the process. It actually slows it down because it prevents you from maintaining the clear, steady perception that the universe needs to work with. Patience is not passive waiting. Patience is active faith, the confidence that the process is unfolding perfectly, even when you cannot yet see the physical results. When you have prepared your mind through quiet contemplation, when you have released the analytical mind and awakened the intuitive faculties, When you have achieved the state of receptive readiness, you are prepared to perceive the form of your wealth. This perception will not come through effort. It will come through surrender. It will not come through force. It will come through faith. It will not come through thinking. It will come through seeing. And once you see it clearly, once the perfect form of your wealth is impressed upon your mind, your work is simply to hold it steady and allow the universe to complete its work of materialization. This mental preparation is the difference between the person who manifests their desires and the person who spends their life in frustrated striving. The striver tries to force results through willpower. The perceiver allows results through clear vision and faith. The striver exhausts themselves in futile effort. The perceiver rests in the certainty that the form already exists and its manifestation is inevitable. Which will you be? The choice is yours, but the law is the same for everyone. Prepare your mind, perceive the form, hold it steady, and watch as the universe brings your wealth into physical reality. Now you are ready for the execution, the 3 precise steps that will move you from vague wanting to clear seeing, from hopeful wishing to definite perception. These steps are not complicated, but they must be followed with precision and faith. Each step builds upon the last, and together they create the clear mental blueprint that the universe is waiting for. Remember, you are not creating this form from nothing. You are perceiving a form that already exists in the thinking stuff. Your work is to tune your mind to the right frequency, to adjust your mental receiver until the signal comes through clearly and without distortion. Step 1. The general desire, the initial signal. Start with your general desire for wealth. Feel the desire for a more abundant, expressive life. This is you telling the universal mind which gallery of forms you wish to browse. The thinking stuff contains infinite forms, forms of every possible reality, every possible expression of life. Your general desire is like walking into an art museum and deciding which wing to visit. You are not yet looking at a specific painting, but you are narrowing your focus to a particular category. Do you desire wealth? Then you are entering the gallery of wealth forms. Do you desire a new home? Then you are entering the gallery of home forms. The general desire is your first act of selection. This general desire must be felt, not just thought. There is a difference between intellectually acknowledging that you want more money and deeply feeling the desire for a more abundant life. The feeling is what activates the connection to the thinking stuff. The universe does not respond to empty words or hollow thoughts. It responds to the vibration of genuine desire, to the emotional energy that accompanies your wanting. So take a moment to feel this desire. Feel what it would be like to live without financial worry. Feel the freedom, the peace, the expanded possibilities. Feel the joy of being able to give generously, to live beautifully, to express yourself fully through material abundance. This feeling is your signal to the universe that you are serious, that you are ready. But do not allow this feeling to become desperate neediness. There is a fine line between genuine desire and desperate lack. Desire says, I want this, and I am moving toward it. Lack says, I don't have this and I am suffering without it. The universe responds to the vibration you are emitting. If you are vibrating with lack, you will attract more lack. If you are vibrating with desire from a place of confident expectation, you will attract the fulfillment of that desire. So feel the desire, but feel it from a place of knowing that what you desire already exists and is moving toward you. This is the subtle but crucial distinction that separates successful manifestation from futile wishing. Step 2. The clear perception, forming the image. In a relaxed state, ask for clarity. Allow the specifics to come to you. Don't force them. What does wealth look like for you? Let the details emerge. See the car, the house, the number in the bank account. Your job is to be a clear channel, allowing the perfect spiritual form to impress itself upon your mind. This is the most important step, and it is where most people fail because they try to force the image instead of allowing it to appear. They sit down with a predetermined idea of what their wealth should look like, and they try to impose this idea on the thinking stuff. But this is backwards. You are not telling the universe what to create. You are asking the universe to show you what already exists. The difference is subtle but profound. When you force the image, you are operating from the limited perspective of your conscious mind. which can only imagine based on what it has already experienced. But the perfect form of your wealth in the thinking stuff may be far grander, far more beautiful, far more perfectly suited to your true nature than anything your conscious mind could invent. So you must be willing to be surprised. You must be willing to receive an image that is different from what you expected. You must trust that the intelligence of the universe knows better than you what form of wealth will bring you the greatest joy and fulfillment. As you sit in quiet contemplation, ask the question, what does my perfect wealth look like? Then be silent and receptive. Do not rush to answer the question with your conscious mind. Wait. Be patient. Allow the image to form gradually. It may come as a flash of insight, a sudden knowing. Or it may come slowly, detail by detail, like a photograph developing in a dark room. However it comes, do not judge it or question it. Simply observe it. Notice the details. What do you see? Where are you? What are you doing? Who is with you? What do you feel? The more details you can perceive, the clearer the blueprint becomes. Some people receive the image visually. They literally see pictures in their mind. Others receive it as a feeling, a sense of knowing without seeing. Others receive it as words or concepts. There is no right or wrong way to receive the image. The important thing is that you receive it, that you allow the perfect form to impress itself upon your consciousness in whatever way is natural for you. Do not compare your experience to others. Do not think you are doing it wrong if you don't see vivid pictures. The universe communicates with each person in the language that person understands best. Trust your own experience. Trust that what you are receiving is real and valid. As the image becomes clearer, you may find that certain details feel more important than others. Pay attention to these. They are clues to the essential nature of the form you are perceiving. Perhaps the most important detail is not the size of the house, but the feeling of peace and security it represents. Perhaps the most important detail is not the amount of money in the bank, but the freedom and generosity it allows. The universe is showing you not just the external form, but the internal essence, the spiritual quality that the form embodies. This essence is what you will hold on to in step 3. Do not worry if the image is not perfectly clear on your first attempt. Perception is a skill that improves with practice. The first time you sit down to perceive the form, you may only get vague impressions, fleeting glimpses. This is normal. Return to the practice daily. Each time you enter the state of quiet contemplation and ask for clarity, the image will become a little sharper, a little more detailed. You are training your mind to perceive spiritual realities, and like any training, it takes time and repetition. But with each practice session, you are strengthening the connection between your conscious mind and the perfect form in the thinking stuff, and eventually the image will become as clear and stable as a photograph. Step 3. The steady contemplation, stabilizing the form. Once the image is clear, your work is to hold it steady. You return to it frequently, not to change it or work on it, but to simply contemplate it with faith. You are keeping the blueprint open on the cosmic workbench so the universe can build it. This is perhaps the most challenging step, because the analytical mind will constantly try to interfere. It will suggest changes. It will introduce doubts. It will ask, how is this possible? It will point out all the reasons why this image cannot become reality. This is the nature of the analytical mind. It is designed to protect you from disappointment by keeping your expectations low. But you must not allow the analytical mind to shatter the image. Each time you return to contemplate the form, you are strengthening it, making it more real, increasing the magnetic pull between the spiritual form and its physical manifestation. But each time you introduce doubt or contradiction, you are weakening the form, making it less clear, reducing its power to manifest. This is why Wattles insists on unwavering faith. The faith is not blind belief. The faith is the decision to honor what you have perceived, to treat it as real even before it appears in physical form, to refuse to let doubt or fear corrupt the clear image. The practice of steady contemplation is simple. Several times each day you close your eyes and return to the image. You see it again, feel it again, know it again. You do not analyze it. You do not question it. You do not try to improve it. You simply contemplate it with the same reverence that a devotee contemplates a sacred object. You are reminding yourself of the reality that exists in the spiritual dimension. You are reinforcing the connection. You are telling the universe, yes, this is what I am choosing. This is the form I am holding steady. This is the blueprint I am asking you to manifest. Between these contemplation sessions, you carry the feeling of the image with you. This feeling acts as a constant homing beacon, keeping your mind tuned to the frequency of this pre-existing spiritual form. You do not need to consciously visualize the image every moment of the day. That would be exhausting and unnecessary. But you can carry the feeling, the essence, the knowing that this form is real and is moving toward you. When you make decisions throughout the day, you make them from the consciousness of the person who already possesses this wealth. When you take actions, you take them as if the manifestation has already occurred. This is not pretending or lying to yourself. This is living from the reality of the spiritual form, even before it has fully materialized in the physical world. This practice of steady contemplation and carrying the feeling is what separates those who manifest their desires from those who merely wish for them. The wishers think about their desires occasionally, when it's convenient, when they remember. The manifestors hold their desires constantly in consciousness, not through strain or effort, but through the natural result of having perceived a reality so clearly that they cannot forget it. The image lives in them. It is part of them. It is as real to them as the chair they are sitting on, even though it has not yet appeared in physical form. This is the consciousness of the master manifester. As you practice this steady contemplation, you will notice that the image begins to feel more and more real. At first, it may feel like imagination, like something you are making up, but gradually, as you return to it day after day, it begins to feel like memory, like something you are remembering rather than inventing. This shift in feeling is a sign that you are succeeding, that the connection between your mind and the pre-existing form is growing stronger. Eventually, the image will feel so real that you will have absolute certainty of its manifestation. This certainty is the ultimate form of faith, and it is the state in which manifestation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Now we come to the refinement, the crucial understanding of what can destroy the clear mental form you have worked so hard to perceive and stabilize. The common pitfalls are not obvious. In fact, most people engage in these destructive behaviors, believing they are harmless or even helpful. But Wattles understood that the mental image is delicate in its early stages, like a seed that has just been planted. It needs protection, nurturing, and the right environment to grow. Expose it to the wrong conditions, and it will wither before it has a chance to take root. The fatal mistakes are the wrong conditions, the toxic elements that poison the seed of your wealth before it can germinate. Mistake number 1, the hook reveal. Talking about it. This is the habit I promised to reveal, the image-destroying behavior that most people think is harmless. Talking about your clear mental image to those on the competitive plane, especially in the early stages, is the fastest way to shatter it. Their doubt, their questions, their skepticism will infect your mind and introduce contradictory vibrations, breaking the clear form. This is why secret societies have always had vows of silence. You are protecting the delicate blueprint from outside interference. When you share your vision with others, you are opening it to their energy, their beliefs, their limitations, and unless they are operating from the same level of consciousness as you, their energy will be destructive. Consider what happens when you tell someone about your goal to become wealthy. If they are stuck in poverty consciousness, they will immediately begin to list all the reasons why it's difficult, why it might not work for you, why you should be realistic. They are not trying to hurt you, they are simply projecting their own limitations onto your vision. But their words carry energy, and that energy enters your mind like a virus. Suddenly, where there was clarity, there is doubt. Where there was certainty, there is question. Where there was a clear image, there is now a blurred, contaminated mess. You have allowed their poverty consciousness to infect your wealth consciousness, and the form you were holding so carefully has been shattered. Even well-meaning friends and family can destroy your vision simply by asking innocent questions. How are you going to do that? Where will the money come from? What if it doesn't work? These questions seem reasonable on the surface, but they are deadly to the mental form. They shift your focus from the what to the how, from faith to doubt, from perception to analysis. Remember, the how is not your concern. The how is the universe's job. Your job is to hold the what clearly and steadily. But when someone asks you how you're going to achieve your goal, your analytical mind kicks in, trying to answer, trying to figure it out. And in that moment, you have lost the state of receptive faith and returned to the state of struggling effort. This is why the great masters have always taught the importance of silence. Jesus taught his disciples to pray in secret. Buddha taught the importance of guarding one's thoughts and words. The Hermetic tradition teaches that the lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding. These are not arbitrary rules. They are recognition of a fundamental law. Your mental image is a sacred thing, a direct connection to the thinking stuff, and it must be protected from the contaminating influence of those who do not understand. Keep your vision to yourself. Share it only with those who are already operating from abundance consciousness, who will support your faith rather than introduce doubt. Mistake number 2. Indecision and vague images. Holding a blurry general idea of being rich is not a definite form. It gives the universe no specific blueprint to work from. Indecision is like constantly handing the builder a different set of plans. Imagine hiring a contractor to build your house, but every week you bring him a new set of blueprints. One week you want a Victorian mansion. The next week you want a modern minimalist home. The next week you want a rustic cabin. The contractor cannot build anything because you have not decided what you want. The universe is in the same position when you are indecisive about your wealth. You must decide. You must commit to a specific form. You must see it clearly and hold it steadily. Vagueness is the enemy of manifestation. I want to be rich is too vague. How rich? What does your wealth look like? What is the specific amount in your bank account? What is the specific house you live in? What is the specific car you drive? The more specific you are, the clearer the blueprint, and the easier it is for the universe to manifest it. This does not mean you must know every tiny detail. The universe will fill in the details as needed. But you must know the essential form. You must be able to describe your wealth in concrete terms, not just abstract concepts. Vague desires produce vague results, or more often, no results at all. Indecision is equally destructive. When you keep changing your mind about what you want, you are constantly erasing the blueprint and drawing a new one. The universe begins to work on manifesting your vision, but before it can complete the work, you change the vision, and it must start over. This is why people who are constantly chasing new goals, new dreams, new visions, never manifest anything. They have no stability, no commitment, no steady focus. They are like a ship constantly changing course, never arriving at any destination. You must decide what you want, commit to that decision and hold it steady until it manifests. Then and only then can you choose a new goal if you wish. Mistake number 3. Mixing in negative images. You hold the image of wealth for 5 minutes, then spend 2 hours worrying about your bills. You are creating 2 opposing thought forms. The universe defaults to the one you give the most consistent energy and feeling to. This is perhaps the most common mistake, and it is the reason why most people's visualization practice fails. They sit down for their morning visualization, see their wealth clearly, feel the joy of abundance, and then they get up and spend the rest of the day thinking about lack. They worry about money. They complain about their job. They focus on what they don't have. They are sending the universe contradictory signals, and contradictory signals produce confusion, not manifestation. The law is simple. The image you hold most consistently and with the most feeling is the image that will manifest. If you spend 5 minutes a day visualizing wealth and 5 hours a day worrying about poverty, poverty will manifest, because that is where your dominant energy is. The universe is not impressed by your 5 minutes of positive visualization. It responds to your habitual mental state, your dominant vibration, your consistent focus. This is why Wattles teaches that you must hold the image with unwavering purpose and steadfast faith. Unwavering means constant. Steadfast means unchanging. You cannot waver between faith and doubt, between abundance and lack, between the positive image and the negative image. This means you must become vigilant about your thoughts throughout the day. When a worry about money arises, you must catch it immediately and replace it with the image of your wealth. When a complaint about lack begins to form, you must stop it and return to gratitude for the abundance that is coming. This is not denial of reality. Your bills are real, your current financial situation is real. But you are choosing not to give these things your dominant focus. You are choosing to focus on the new reality you are creating, the spiritual form you are manifesting. You are living from the end, as Neville Goddard would say, treating your desired reality as more real than your current circumstances. This vigilance becomes easier with practice. At first, it will feel like constant work, constantly catching negative thoughts and replacing them. But gradually, as you train your mind, the positive focus becomes habitual. You will find that you naturally think from abundance rather than lack, that you naturally focus on what you want rather than what you don't want. This is the transformation of consciousness that is the real goal of Wattles' teaching. The wealth is just the external manifestation. The internal transformation is the true treasure, because once you have transformed your consciousness, you can manifest anything you desire. Now for the Master's tips, the crucial directives from Wattles himself that will ensure your success. Wattles was not a theorist. He was a practitioner who tested his principles and proved them through his own experience. His most crucial directive on this topic is this: you must form a clear and definite mental image of what you want. You cannot transmit an idea unless you have it yourself, and you must hold this mental image with unwavering purpose to have it, and with steadfast faith that you do have it. Let us break down each element of this instruction, because each word carries weight and meaning. You must form a clear and definite mental image. Clear means without blur, without vagueness, without confusion. Definite means specific, concrete, particular. Not a nice house, but the exact house. Not a lot of money, but the specific amount. Not a successful business, but the precise business with its specific characteristics. The clearer and more definite your image, the more powerfully it can impress itself upon the thinking stuff. A blurry photograph cannot be reproduced clearly. A vague blueprint cannot be built accurately. Your mental image must be sharp, detailed, and unmistakable. This is not optional. It is the foundation of all manifestation. You cannot transmit an idea unless you have it yourself. This is a profound truth that most people overlook. You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot manifest what you do not clearly perceive. If the image in your mind is vague and uncertain, that vagueness and uncertainty is what you are transmitting to the thinking stuff, and that is what will manifest, more vagueness and uncertainty. But if the image in your mind is clear and certain, that clarity and certainty is what you are transmitting, and that is what will manifest. You must first possess the image mentally before you can possess it physically. The mental possession is the cause. The physical possession is the effect. This is why Wattles insists that you must see yourself as already having what you desire, not as hoping for it, not as working toward it, but as already possessing it. This is not self-deception. This is recognition that in the spiritual dimension, you do already possess it. The form exists. Your clear perception of it makes it yours in the mental realm. The physical manifestation is just a matter of time, a natural unfoldment of the spiritual reality into material form. When you see yourself as already having your wealth, you are not lying to yourself. You are acknowledging a higher truth, a spiritual fact that precedes and determines physical fact. And you must hold this mental image with unwavering purpose to have it. Unwavering purpose means you do not change your mind. You do not doubt. You do not waver between wanting it and not wanting it, between believing and doubting. You have made a decision, and you stick with that decision no matter what. This is the quality of will that Wattles speaks of, not the forceful, straining will that tries to make things happen, but the steady, determined will that simply refuses to give up the vision. It is the will of the acorn that will not stop growing until it becomes an oak. It is the will of the river that will not stop flowing until it reaches the sea. Purpose is different from desire. Desire can be fleeting, emotional, changeable. Purpose is steady, rational, committed. You may not feel the desire every moment of every day, emotions fluctuate, but purpose remains constant regardless of emotion. You have decided that you will have this wealth, and that decision is final. Nothing can shake it. No obstacle can deter it. No delay can discourage it. This is the unwavering purpose that Wattles speaks of, and it is the quality that separates those who manifest their desires from those who merely wish for them. And with steadfast faith that you do have it. Steadfast faith means faith that does not waver or change. It is not faith today and doubt tomorrow. It is faith today, faith tomorrow, faith every day until the manifestation appears. This faith is based on your clear perception of the pre-existing form. You have seen it. You know it exists. Therefore you have faith that it will manifest. This is not blind belief. It is logical certainty based on understanding the law. If the form exists in the thinking stuff, and if you hold it clearly and steadily in your mind, then its physical manifestation is a natural consequence. It is as certain as the growth of the planted seed. The phrase that you do have it is crucial. Not that you will have it, but that you do have it. Present tense. You have it now in the spiritual dimension. The physical manifestation is on its way, but in the realm of causation, in the realm where all things begin, you already possess it. This is the consciousness you must maintain. When you pray, you do not beg for something you don't have. You give thanks for something you do have. When you visualize, you do not long for something in the future. You enjoy something in the present. This shift from future to present tense, from hoping to having, is the shift that activates the full power of the law. Wattles also teaches that you must not just hold the image passively, but you must impress it upon the thinking stuff with feeling and gratitude. The feeling is what gives the image power. A cold, emotionless visualization is like a blueprint drawn in pencil. It can be easily erased. But a visualization charged with feeling is like a blueprint carved in stone. It is permanent and powerful. The gratitude is your acknowledgement that the form already exists and is already yours. You are not grateful for something you hope to receive someday. You are grateful for something you already have. This gratitude is the ultimate expression of faith. These master's tips are not suggestions, they are requirements. If you want to manifest wealth according to Wattles' method, you must follow these instructions precisely. Form a clear and definite mental image. Hold it with unwavering purpose. Maintain steadfast faith that you already have it. Charge it with feeling and gratitude. Do this consistently, daily, without fail, and the manifestation is inevitable. It is not a matter of luck or chance. It is a matter of law, as certain as the law of gravity. The universe must respond to your clear mental image, because that is how the universe operates. This is the master's wisdom, proven through experience and offered to you as a gift. Will you accept it and apply it? To validate this principle, we must look beyond theory and examine the actual experiences of those who have accessed this dimension of perfect forms. Great artists and composers throughout history have described their creative process in terms that perfectly align with Wattles' teaching. They do not speak of laboring to invent their works. They speak of perceiving works that already existed, of being channels through which pre-existing perfection could flow into the physical world. Mozart famously said he could see and hear entire symphonies in his mind at once, complete and finished. His job was simply to write down what already existed. This is not metaphor. This is literal description of perceiving a perfect form in the thinking stuff. Mozart described how the musical ideas would come to him, not piece by piece, but all at once, in their entirety. He could hear every instrument, every note, every harmony simultaneously, as if listening to a complete performance. He did not compose in the conventional sense of trying different melodies and seeing what worked. He simply transcribed what he heard in his mind, what already existed in perfect form in the dimension of pure thought. This is why his compositions have such unity, such perfection. They were not constructed, they were perceived. They existed first as complete thought forms, and Mozart's genius was his ability to perceive these forms clearly and translate them into physical notation. Beethoven, even after he became deaf, continued to compose masterpieces because he was not dependent on his physical ears. He was perceiving the music in the realm of perfect forms, where deafness is irrelevant. The music existed in the thinking stuff, and his mind could perceive it directly, without the intermediary of physical sound. This is powerful evidence that the creative source is not in the physical world, not in the brain or the senses, but in a higher dimension that the mind can access when it is in the right state. Beethoven's deafness actually may have enhanced his ability to perceive these forms, because he was forced to rely entirely on his inner perception rather than being distracted by outer sounds. Great inventors often report seeing their inventions fully formed in a flash of insight. They are not making it up. They are perceiving a perfect form that already exists in the mind stuff. Nikola Tesla described how he could see his inventions in complete detail in his mind, so clearly that he could mentally test them, observe them running, and even notice which parts would wear out first. He did not need to build physical prototypes. He could perceive the perfect form so clearly that he could interact with it mentally as if it were already physical. This is the power of clear perception, and it is available to anyone who learns to access the dimension of perfect forms. Thomas Edison, despite his reputation for trial and error, understood this principle. He said, "I never did anything worth doing by accident, nor did any of my inventions come by accident. They came by work." But what kind of work? Not random experimentation, but the work of holding a clear vision of what he wanted to create and persistently seeking to perceive the form that already existed. His thousands of experiments were not random. They were guided by an inner vision, a perception of the perfect form he was seeking to manifest. Each failed experiment was not a failure, but a refinement of his perception, bringing him closer to the clear vision that would guide him to success. The connection to wealth creation is direct and undeniable. Just as the symphony exists as a perfect form before Mozart writes it down, just as the invention exists as a perfect form before Tesla builds it, your wealth exists as a perfect form before you manifest it. The principle is the same, the dimension is the same, the process is the same. The only difference is the content. Instead of perceiving a symphony or an invention, you are perceiving the form of your financial abundance. But the mechanism is identical. You quiet your analytical mind, you enter a state of receptive contemplation, and you allow the perfect form to impress itself upon your consciousness. This is why Wattles insists that you are not creating your wealth from nothing. You are perceiving it, discovering it, recognizing it as already existing in the dimension of perfect forms. The great artists and inventors prove that this dimension exists and can be accessed. They prove that perfect forms exist before their physical manifestation. They prove that the human mind, when properly trained and directed, can perceive these forms clearly enough to bring them into physical reality. You have the same mind, the same access, the same potential. The only question is whether you will develop the skill of perception. Consider the writer who sits down to write a novel. If they approach it as a construction project, trying to invent characters and plot from nothing, the work is laborious and the result is often mediocre. But if they approach it as an act of perception, allowing the story to reveal itself, allowing the characters to emerge fully formed from the dimension of perfect forms, the work flows effortlessly and the result is often brilliant. The great writers speak of their characters as if they were real people with their own wills and personalities. This is because in the dimension of perfect forms, they are real. The writer is not inventing them. The writer is perceiving them and reporting what they see. The same principle applies to every creative endeavor, including the creation of wealth. When you approach wealth creation as a construction project, trying to figure out strategies and tactics, trying to force results through effort and willpower, the work is exhausting and the results are limited. But when you approach it as an act of perception, allowing the perfect form of your wealth to reveal itself, allowing the path to emerge naturally from your clear vision, the work becomes effortless and the results are unlimited. You are not limited by what you can figure out with your conscious mind. You are only limited by what you can perceive in the dimension of perfect forms, and that dimension is unlimited. The validation from great artists and composers is not just interesting history. It is proof of principle. It demonstrates that the dimension of perfect forms is real, that it can be accessed, and that accessing it is the key to all great achievement. Mozart did not become Mozart by studying music theory harder than anyone else. He became Mozart by having clearer access to the dimension of perfect musical forms. Tesla did not become Tesla by being better at mathematics than other engineers. He became Tesla by having clearer access to the dimension of perfect inventive forms, and you will not become wealthy by working harder or being smarter than others. You will become wealthy by having clearer access to the dimension of perfect wealth forms. This is the great equalizer and the great liberator. You do not need special talent. You do not need special education. You do not need special circumstances. You need only the ability to perceive clearly, and this ability can be developed by anyone through practice. The dimension of perfect forms is not reserved for geniuses. It is available to all. Mozart had a gift for perceiving musical forms. Tesla had a gift for perceiving inventive forms, but you can develop the gift for perceiving wealth forms. The principle is the same. The practice is the same. The results will be the same. Clear perception leads to inevitable manifestation. To make this principle even more concrete, consider the anecdote of a business person who wants to launch a new successful product. They could spend months on market research and analysis, studying competitors, analyzing trends, trying to figure out what will sell. This is the competitive plane approach, and it is exhausting, uncertain, and limited. Or they could use Wattles' method, hold the desire for the perfect product, and then in a state of quiet contemplation, allow the clear, definite form of that product, its name, its function, its design, to impress itself upon their mind. This is how true innovation happens, and this is how breakthrough success occurs. Imagine this business person sitting in quiet contemplation, not trying to think or analyze, but simply holding the desire for a product that will serve people beautifully and bring great wealth. They are not forcing ideas. They are not brainstorming. They are simply being receptive, allowing the perfect form to reveal itself. And suddenly, in a flash of insight, they see it. They see the product completely, in all its details. They see how it works, what it looks like, what it's called, who will buy it. The vision is so clear, so complete, that they know with absolute certainty that this product will be successful. This is not wishful thinking. This is perception of a pre-existing form. Compare this to the conventional approach. The conventional business person looks at what already exists in the market and tries to create a variation, an improvement, a different version. They are working from what is, trying to imagine what could be. But they are limited by their past experience and their analytical mind. They cannot truly innovate, because innovation requires accessing something that does not yet exist in the physical world, but already exists in the dimension of perfect forms. The greatest business successes in history, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, were not created by analyzing existing markets. They were created by perceiving new forms, new possibilities that existed in the thinking stuff, but had not yet been manifested. Steve Jobs famously said, "People don't know what they want until you show it to them." This is recognition that true innovation comes not from responding to existing demand, but from perceiving a perfect form and bringing it into manifestation. The iPhone did not exist because people were asking for it. It existed first as a perfect form in the dimension of thought, and Jobs' genius was his ability to perceive this form clearly and marshal the resources to manifest it. He did not invent the iPhone through analysis and planning. He perceived it as a complete vision and then worked to make the vision physical. This is the power available to you when you learn to perceive the perfect form of your wealth. You are not limited to what already exists. You are not limited to what seems possible based on current circumstances. You are limited only by the clarity of your perception. If you can see it clearly in the dimension of perfect forms, you can manifest it in the physical world. This is not magic. This is the natural law of creation. The spiritual form always precedes the physical form. The thought always precedes the thing. The vision always precedes the manifestation. The business person who perceives the perfect product form has an enormous advantage over the one who relies on analysis and planning. They have certainty where others have doubt. They have clarity where others have confusion. They have faith where others have fear. And because they have perceived the perfect form, they know exactly what to do. The actions they need to take are obvious because they are working from a clear blueprint. They are not guessing or experimenting randomly. They are following the guidance that comes naturally from clear perception. This is why Wattles teaches that you must hold the vision first, and the actions will follow naturally. Consider another example: a person who desires a beautiful home. They could spend months looking at real estate listings, trying to find something that matches their vague idea of what they want. This is exhausting and often disappointing because what exists in the market may not match what they truly desire. Or they could use Wattles' method, enter a state of quiet contemplation, and allow the perfect form of their ideal home to reveal itself. They see the home in complete detail: the architecture, the rooms, the location, the feeling of being in that space. This clear vision becomes their guide, and they know they will recognize their home when they see it, or they will be guided to create it. This is not passive waiting. This is active creation, guided by clear perception. The person with the clear vision of their home is not just hoping to stumble upon it. They are magnetically attracting it, or attracting the circumstances that will lead to its manifestation. They may be guided to a piece of land where they will build it. They may be guided to a listing that perfectly matches their vision. They may be guided to an architect who can design it. The universe has infinite ways to bring the spiritual form into physical manifestation, but it needs the clear blueprint that comes from your perception. The validation from real-world examples is overwhelming. Every great achievement in history began as a clear perception of a form that already existed in the thinking stuff. Every successful business, every beautiful work of art, every scientific breakthrough, every technological innovation, all of them existed first as perfect forms waiting to be perceived. The people who achieved these things were not necessarily smarter or more talented than others. They were simply better at perceiving the forms that already existed, and this ability can be developed by anyone who is willing to learn the method and practice it consistently. Your wealth is no different. It exists now as a perfect form in the thinking stuff. Your work is to perceive it clearly, hold the vision steadily, and allow the universe to manifest it. The examples of artists, inventors, and entrepreneurs prove that this is not fantasy, but fact. The dimension of perfect forms is real. It can be accessed, and accessing it is the key to manifesting anything you desire, including and especially financial abundance. This is the validation you need to proceed with confidence, knowing that you are not pursuing a dream, but perceiving a reality. We have journeyed through the dimensions of thought, from the initial perception that all things exist first as perfect forms in the thinking stuff, through the precise method of perceiving and stabilizing your wealth form, to the validation that this principle has been used by the greatest achievers in history. Now we synthesize this power into a unified understanding that you can carry forward into your life. The first act of creation is not an act of effort, but an act of perception. This single truth revolutionizes everything you have been taught about achievement and success. You are not a struggling inventor trying to create something from nothing. You are a cosmic perceiver, tuning your mind to see the perfect forms that already exist in the infinite potential of the universe. This shift in self-understanding is profound. When you see yourself as a creator starting from nothing, you feel the burden of the entire creative process on your shoulders. You must figure everything out. You must force results through willpower. You must struggle against obstacles and limitations. The weight is crushing, and most people give up under this burden. But when you see yourself as a perceiver discovering what already exists, the burden lifts. Your work is not to create, but to see. Your work is not to force, but to allow. Your work is not to struggle, but to align. This is the difference between exhaustion and ease, between frustration and flow, between failure and success. The synthesis of power comes from understanding that perception, faith, and action form a trinity of manifestation. Perception provides the blueprint. Faith maintains the connection to the blueprint. action in the physical world allows the blueprint to materialize. All three are necessary, but they must occur in the right order. Perception first, faith second, action third. Most people reverse this order. They act first, hoping that somehow success will emerge from their random efforts. But action without clear perception is wasted energy. Faith without clear perception is empty hope. Only when you perceive clearly can your faith be real and your actions be guided. The power you now possess is the power to consciously access the dimension where all things exist in perfect form. This is not a power reserved for mystics or geniuses. This is your natural birthright as a conscious being. Your mind is designed to perceive spiritual realities. Your consciousness is designed to interact with the thinking stuff. You have simply been taught to ignore these abilities and rely only on your physical senses and analytical mind. But now you know better. Now you understand that the physical world is the effect, not the cause. The spiritual world of perfect forms is the cause, and your perception is the bridge between cause and effect. When you synthesize all these principles, you realize that manifesting wealth is not a complex process requiring special knowledge or circumstances. It is a simple process requiring only clear perception, unwavering faith, and inspired action. The complexity that most people experience comes from their confusion about the process, their mixing of contradictory methods, their wavering between faith and doubt. But when you understand the process clearly and follow it precisely, manifestation becomes natural and inevitable. You are working with universal law, not against it. You are flowing with the creative process, not struggling against it. Your wealth is not a distant dream to be built. It is a present reality on the spiritual plane, waiting to be perceived. This is the message of empowerment that changes everything. You are not starting from zero. You are not beginning a long, uncertain journey with no guarantee of success. You are simply becoming aware of what already exists, what has always existed, what is waiting for you to claim it through clear perception and steadfast faith. The journey is not from poverty to wealth. It is from blindness to sight, from ignorance to awareness, from unconscious to conscious manifestation. Your greatest work is not to hustle in the world, but to become still and clear enough to see the blueprint that the universe has already prepared for you. This is counterintuitive to everything modern culture teaches. You are told to work harder, to network more, to learn more skills, to take more action. All of this has its place, but it is secondary. The primary work is internal, the work of perception, the work of maintaining clear vision, the work of cultivating unwavering faith. When this internal work is done correctly, the external work becomes easy, guided, and effective. When the internal work is neglected, no amount of external effort will produce lasting success. The vision is the foundation. Without it, all labor is in vain. You can work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week for years, and if you are working without a clear vision of the form you are manifesting, you will produce nothing of value. You will be like the sculptor chipping randomly at marble, hoping somehow a statue will emerge. But with the clear vision, even small efforts produce great results because your efforts are guided by the blueprint, aligned with the perfect form, supported by the universe itself. The vision is not a luxury or an optional first step. It is the essential foundation without which nothing else matters. This is why Wattles places such emphasis on the mental image. It is not just a motivational tool or a visualization exercise. It is the actual cause of your wealth. The image in your mind is the seed from which your physical wealth will grow. Plant a clear, strong seed, and you will harvest abundant fruit. Plant a weak, unclear seed, and you will harvest nothing. The quality of your mental image determines the quality of your physical manifestation. This is law, not theory. This is how the universe operates, whether you understand it or not, whether you believe it or not. The empowerment comes from realizing that you have control over the one thing that matters most, your mental image. You may not have control over the economy, over other people, over circumstances, but you have absolute control over what you hold in your mind. You have absolute control over whether you maintain a clear vision or allow it to become corrupted by doubt and fear. You have absolute control over whether you hold steadfast faith or waver in uncertainty. This is your power, and it is the only power you need. Everything else will follow from this. When you truly grasp this principle, you will never again feel powerless in the face of circumstances. You will never again believe that your wealth depends on factors outside your control. You will know with absolute certainty that your wealth depends only on the clarity of your perception and the steadiness of your faith. This knowing is liberation. This knowing is empowerment. This knowing is the difference between the victim consciousness that blames circumstances and the creator consciousness that takes full responsibility for manifesting its desires. The message of empowerment is this: you are not at the mercy of the world. The world is at the mercy of your consciousness. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. Your physical circumstances are a manifestation of your mental images. Change your mental images, and your physical circumstances must change. This is not positive thinking or wishful hoping. This is fundamental law. The universe is mental, and you are a mental being with the power to impress your thoughts upon the thinking stuff and watch them manifest in physical form. Now comes the challenge, the invitation to prove this principle in your own experience. I propose the perception challenge. For 1 week, instead of visualizing, change your intention. Before you close your eyes, say, I am now becoming aware of the perfect form of my desire that already exists. The goal is to shift the feeling from effortful creation to effortless perception. Notice how this changes the clarity and stability of your image. Notice how it changes the quality of your faith. Notice how it changes the way you feel about your wealth. This simple shift in intention can produce profound results because it aligns you with the truth of how manifestation actually works. During this week, pay attention to the difference between trying to create an image and allowing an image to reveal itself. Notice how much easier it is to perceive than to invent. Notice how much more real the image feels when you approach it as perception rather than creation. Notice how your faith naturally increases when you are perceiving something that already exists, rather than trying to convince yourself of something you are making up. This is the power of understanding the principle correctly. It makes the practice natural and effective rather than forced and frustrating. Also during this week, practice protecting your vision. Do not talk about it to anyone who might introduce doubt. Do not allow yourself to waver or change your mind about what you want. Do not mix negative images with your positive vision. Guard your mental image as if it were the most precious thing in your life, because it is. It is the seed of your future wealth, and it must be protected, nurtured, and allowed to grow without interference. This vigilance is not paranoia, it is wisdom. You are protecting the delicate process of manifestation from the destructive forces of doubt, fear, and contradiction. At the end of the week, evaluate your experience. Is your mental image clearer or blurrier than when you started? Do you feel more certain or less certain about your wealth? Has your faith increased or decreased? Have you noticed any synchronicities, opportunities, or ideas that seem to be leading you toward your wealth? These are signs that the process is working, that your perception is connecting you to the pre-existing form, that the universe is beginning to manifest your vision. If you notice these signs, continue the practice. If you do not notice these signs, examine whether you truly followed the instructions or whether you allowed doubt and contradiction to corrupt the process. The challenge is not to manifest your wealth in 1 week. That would be unrealistic for most people, though not impossible for those with extremely clear perception and strong faith. The challenge is to shift your consciousness from creator to perceiver, from struggler to allower, from doubter to believer. This shift in consciousness is the real goal, because once this shift occurs, manifestation becomes inevitable. It may take a week, a month, or a year for the physical manifestation to appear, but once you have made the internal shift, the external result is guaranteed by law. If you are ready to stop struggling to create and start perceiving the riches that are already yours, subscribe to the Master's legacy and learn to see with the mind of the universe. This is not just an invitation to subscribe to a channel. It is an invitation to transform your consciousness, to access the dimension of perfect forms, to claim your birthright as a conscious creator. The masters of the past have left you this legacy of wisdom. Will you accept it? Will you apply it? Will you prove it in your own experience? The choice is yours, but the law is universal. Perceive clearly, hold steadily, believe absolutely, and watch as the universe delivers the riches that have always been yours.